All right, this is the first time I'm making a video on sports. So, there's two hot topics going around right now when it comes to college football, at least in my area. uh, one, Michigan's performance in the Peach Bowl, and also, did the committee get it right with the four playoff teams? I'm going to deal with the thing that is most dear to my heart, and that is Michigan. I am a graduate of University of Michigan. I'm also a big fan of college football. I've been following Michigan football since I was, I think, about 6 years old. But anyway, I was disappointed with the Peach Bowl performance. Going into the game, I didn't have that confidence that we would win. And the reason being is that you had two top 10 teams playing one another, and one of the top 10 teams loses three of their top four players. Michigan lost their number one running back, Higdon, who rushed for over 1,000 yards, and also we lost our best linebacker, who happens to be the best linebacker in the country. Um, Also, one of the best defensive ends in the country. And that's a lot to overcome when you're facing a top 10 team. And so I didn't have much expectation of us winning. In fact, I just didn't know how we would perform. And and also, we lost a key player on the offensive line who made much improvement during the year, and Juwan Bushel Beatty. So you had four key players at four key positions gone. So um, the team that you saw on in the bowl game was not the team that rushed out to 10 straight wins after losing to Notre Dame. I felt the Big Ten, though it might not be the best conference, most people rank it as the second best conference in the country. The Big Ten is very physical. Indiana, though, they lost to Michigan. They really beat up Michigan. There was a lot of injuries that occurred in the game before Ohio State, which I believe affected also their performance in Ohio State. I'm not saying they would have won at Ohio State, but it did affect their performance. They were not able to get a pass rush at all. But, there were several defensive linemen who were hurt or not at 100%. So, not saying that we would have won there, but I would think it would have been a better game. And the same thing with the bowl. When you lose three out of four players, and some of the players are still injured, I didn't have a high expectation of a great performance. So I love Michigan. I think they're going to be a lot better next year. Um, they may want to visit playing more than one quarterback. Not that Shea Patterson is. He's a very very good quarterback. But they got a couple of studs behind Shea Patterson. One that can really sling it. Um, and we see what happens with slinging when you have. I don't mean sling TV, but slinging that football around with Alabama. Alabama has had a great defense for a long time, and they've never really had a very good quarterback. I had 1 year with McCarron, um, but uh, but really, they have not had quarterbacks. But this year, they have a quarterback who can really throw that football. Talking about Alabama, talking about the top four, so they made that sweet segue to the top four. The committee got it right. I'm sorry, relatives, my relatives that are in Georgia, um, my relatives that are in Florida, my relatives that are at in Ohio who are Ohio State fans, Ohio State may have a slight, um, you know, beef, but looking at the resume, Oklahoma, their one loss was a close loss. Ohio State's one loss was a blowout to a team that wasn't really good. Purdue is an average team, physical but average. Um, so I believe the committee got it right despite the performance of Notre Dame. Notre Dame was undefeated. You're going to kick out Notre Dame out of the top four? They're undefeated. Clemson is undefeated. Now, Clemson didn't play anybody, but we know Clemson is one of the top two teams. They've been one of the top two teams for the last, 3 or 4 years. So, Clemson wasn't going to be kicked out. Oklahoma shouldn't have been kicked out. Notre Dame shouldn't be, and you weren't going to kick out Alabama. So I don't think anybody has a beef. I don't know why Georgia think they have a beef. They have a worse record. They got blown out by LSU. They gave away their conference championship game to Alabama. You gave it away. Why should you be in the top four for the championship of the country when you just gave away the championship for your conference? Explain that to me. The top four? Now I could see maybe if we had the NCAA tournament like the basketball, and they put a bunch of teams in there. Yeah, put Georgia in there. Georgia is a very good team, but they don't have the heart of a champion. I'm sorry. You need to go somewhere and sit down until you have the heart of a champion. Don't talk to me about being in the top four. Now, Florida, congratulations on your win over a handicapped team. You did what you were supposed to do. I'm not begrudging you. You did what you're supposed to do, but don't act like you flex SEC muscle. Come on now. You guys were gift wrapped a bowl win. All right. Anybody else? I'm trying to think if anybody else had a beef. What you say? University of Central Florida? Play somebody. Play a team. Play somebody, and then you got a gripe. You go somewhere. Don't be following what the SEC do. You go somewhere and schedule a legit top 20 team that's a legit top 20 for every year and beat them. The committee will not leave you out. Well, it depends on everybody else, but you do that will increase your chances of being in the top four. Now, all this discussion might be a moot point because they're discussing having making it an 18 playoff. So, if we and I would suggest that, but if we do an 18 playoff and they're allowing conference champions to automatically go in. I wouldn't totally go with that. I would say if you're a conference champion and you finish in the top 10 in the polls, you should have an automatic bid. But if you don't, I believe that that spot should be made into an at-large team because you want to have the best teams in a 18 playoff. Thank you for your time. I'll talk to you at another time.